Church. Today's message, press on, my brother, press on. Think about that, press on. Press on. When you press in your way, there's a lot of things that are happening. There's a lot of things that are taking place. But we're not just talking about pressing when it comes down to earthly things, even though we're going to talk about a little bit of all of it. But we'll find many times that our press in the world is greater than our press toward the kingdom. Our press in the world is greater than our press toward the kingdom. Press on, my brother, press on. And what do I mean by press? Press is to move or cause to move into a position. To move into a position. So in other words, you got to press your way. You know, it kind of remind me of this year's team in Jacksonville, even though I'm a Dallas Cowboy. I love the Dallas Cowboys. The Jaguars lost several games, but the beginning of the season, they won 2 games in a row. And they proceeded to lose about 6 or 7 in a row. But you know, during that losing streak, they kept right on going. They kept right on pressing. And then they went on a winning streak of maybe 7 or 8 games because they didn't let those losses stop them from trying to reach their goal. They kept on moving. They kept right on going. They kept right on pressing until they got on the winning streak and won their conference. In life, you're going to have to keep right on pressing. No matter what's happening, no matter what's taking place in your life, you got to keep your eyes on the prize. You know, yesterday I had to go to a funeral. A friend of mine, a young man that I grew up with, when he was young, he got shot and he was bound to a wheelchair. And I can remember me praying for him. I told him, I said, one day you're going to be able to get out that wheelchair. You're going to be able to walk again. Well, I want to tell you something. He still used the wheelchair, but he walk occasionally when he wanted to walk. In other words, he kept right on pressing. And there were those that was talking about his life, about how he would be downtown in that wheelchair. He kept right on pressing. He didn't let the wheelchair bound him. He kept right on pressing, going anywhere he wanted to go. We find ourselves today with those that have cars, and we find them that has the abilities to walk and do things. It don't take much to stop them. All it takes is just a little straw. All it takes is just hiccup. A little hiccup in their life. And then they say, I can't show up. Oh, I couldn't do it. But you know what? It was in their heart. No. See, it was in their heart to say, I got an excuse. But that man in the wheelchair didn't make no excuses. And then there were those that said that he would say, I'm going to the store for somebody. I mean, he would press his way to go to the store and pick up things for other people. He was in a wheelchair, but he didn't let it be said that I'm in a wheelchair, therefore I couldn't go to the store for somebody. I asked because I couldn't do something for somebody. No, he didn't let that happen. Let me tell you something. By us having a faith company, there's a young lady right now that we're scheduled to start a home. Well, you know what? She's blind. She's blind. And she has to feel her way through her house. But she pressed her way through her house. But I would challenge you, you go in her home. Her house is clean. It is clean. From the front door to the back door, it is clean. She don't say because I'm blind, I can't clean my house. Because she's blind, she can't, she's saying that she want to paint her house. No, she feels her way through her house. And she said, Mr. William, my last painter, there's stuff you put on the walls and things that I want off. She said, must need sanding or something. I said, you are absolutely correct. But guess what else? She's a very busy lady. She said, Mr. Williams, she says there's places I got to be at a certain time. And she got an Uber to pick her up at a certain time. And an Uber to pick her up at another time. To take her everywhere she want to go. She's She's got to go to Miami next week. She got someone to go to Miami because she has to get her shots in Miami for her eyes. Now, the thing is when you're talking to believers, the Bible says we can do all things through Christ. We can do all things. If God be for us, then who can be against us? That means that we got God. There's nothing to stop us. But it's how we see ourselves. You read in the book of Numbers, you will see where there were those that saw themselves as grasshoppers. But there was two young men, Caleb and Joshua. They didn't see themselves as grasshoppers. They did not see themselves not being able to get the victory. Even David didn't see himself not being able to get the victory. He pressed his way toward the giant. Because he knew if God be for him, then who could be against us? How many of you got excuses in your life? Excuses why you can't do this. Excuses why you can't do that. When I can remember that your parents, they did not have a car. It wasn't even legal for them to have a car. If they would have had a car, the boss would have fired them. I can remember one young man that he said he didn't drive his car to work because he didn't want somebody to know what he had. I said, if God blesses me, I'm not going to pretend that I don't have one. I told him, I said, this is not the 50s. This is not the 60s. I will not live in the past. I'm going to live in the now. And how many of you living in the now? I'm living in the now. And you know what the now is? Now faith. Now faith is our God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask. Now I'm going to tell you something. I'm living in the now. I'm not living in because I got a charge. So here's pressing your way. You press your way. And see, that's what it's going to take. See, some of us in our life, these happen. When we got a job, we got to be there at a certain time. Remember, I said your parents are old. My mother was a single woman, not by choice, because my father died. She had to be to work 4 a.m. every morning. 4 a.m. We didn't have a car. She had to walk to the bus station. She had to walk there to catch a bus. Or she had to be on the corner to catch a cab. Some of y'all might remember our parents would catch cabs. There was one called New Deal. They would catch New Deal. And so my mother had to be on that bus stop at a certain time or be on the corner at a certain time whenever those cabs would come. What motivated her to get there? She had children home. They had to have a roof on their head. They had to have food and clothing. Yes, that was her motivation. Not excuses why she couldn't get to the bus stop. 4 a.m. But she made it. Oh, yes, she would be sick at nighttime. My mother had high blood pressure. You would see she was a brown skinned young lady, and some of y'all would call them red. I took complexion out on the side. That's after my father. He was a dark skinned man. But my mother was a brown skinned woman. And so when her pressure go up, you would see marks all over her body. On her leg, on her thigh, on her arm. They would just show up. But it didn't matter to her. You didn't have the medicine you have today. No, we could only rub her down with alcohol. And we would be crying. Can you ever imagine losing your mother? I know some of you don't think like that. But it's no guarantee your mother's going to be there forever. We don't have a father. All we got is our mother. And she's laying in the bed sick, breathing hard. And we would get the alcohol and rub it down. But somewhere we would fall asleep. And she would ease from under us. And she would go catch that bus. Or she would catch that taxi. She pressed her way on. pressed her way to the bus stop. She pressed her way to the corner to catch the cab. It was too much at stake. Her children's life was at stake. She wasn't going to let that stop her. We read this week about the Bible speaks about a woman that was the wife of a son of a prophet. About how that the debtors was going to come and apprehend her children to pay off the debt. She pressed her way to see the man of God. She didn't let the pride stop her. She pressed her way. He told her to go and buy dresses, not a few but many. And she pressed her way. She didn't say, I'm not going to beg anyone. I'm not going to, because I can see they don't give them to me and know what I'm going through. I'm not going to ask them. No. She didn't let pride stop her. She pressed her way to every one of them houses and asked them to give her a vessel, not few but many. She was obedient to the man of God. And the Bible said to obey is better than the sacrifice. Ain't that something? To obey. And pride goes before destruction, the Holy Spirit before fall. Some of us want to make it because we don't have a prayer. Some of us are not going to make it because we have pride. But it's too much at stake. So we will say, well, you were sick, but you pressed your way to work. And I know some of you women and some men can say that too. I can say that about Brother Robert. I've seen that young man that sometimes he can't hardly walk. He can't hardly even bend down. He will squat to pick up something. And I'm going to tell you something about when we talk about things in our ministry, about how we allow the Lord's house to allow room. Well, let me tell you something. I've seen that young man that sometimes he can't hardly walk. Can't hardly move anything. But he'll get on the ladder and make sure the lights. I saw a wall. He's very good with his hands and tall, and he got a brain to think out things. When there's a wall that needs to be built, he don't say, Pastor, my back hurting, can't bend down, and I got pains going through. No, he pressed his way on. He pressed his way on. When our church called a fire, and we had to have rafters put up there. We had a guy that said he died, he would do the rafters for us. But he was a man that wanted money, but didn't want to do his job professional. Robert came and told him exactly how to do it. And then let him know if the king do it, comes down. I'll get the job done. That's what he told me. And I want to tell y'all something. That man with that back that hurt and pains that go through his body, he pressed his way up there, got the rafters and put them on there, and made sure put the roof on right. Didn't make excuses. Look at some of us. Oh, I was cold. Oh, I didn't feel good. Oh, I had a meeting. Oh, I had a flat tire. No, ain't no excuses. People that's going to heaven will not be the ones that make excuses. The Bible said these are those that came through hard trials and tribulation and had their garments washed in the blood of the Lamb, and their works do follow them. That's right. Their works, their life, committed, dedicated. So some of you making it work and you're sick. Some of you making it work even though your battery was low. You call somebody to give you a boost. In the wintertime, there are those that pipe cut the water outside and still make it work. How do you know? Because being a father and being a husband, I've had pipes to bust. Cut the water off until I get back. I've had problems when I first gave my life to Christ, where I could have called and said, Pastor, I'm not going to come to church. Some of y'all, you used to do that. Y'all used to say, your text and said, Pastor, I'm not coming to church today. But you know what happened? You know why we don't do it no more? Because we lost Isaiah for God. I've never been anywhere, no matter where I was. I've always let Why? Because that's my spiritual father. That's the one the Bible said that he must get account for my soul. And that it said that he must give an account, and that he must do it with joy and not with grief, for it is unprofitable to you. When pastors forget about that. They won't preach the word like they used to. People die and they go to hell. Account for every soul. Every soul that comes through that door, he gonna give an account for it. That's why it tells them, for they shall receive the greater condemnation. So I know that no matter what's happening, who come to church, who don't come to church, my job is to press my way here. To be here on Wednesday. To be here on Sunday mornings. I don't make excuses. Sometimes I'm tired and through, just like everybody else. But the Bible said too much charge. So you got to understand that God has given you all a lot. You got to press your way. Jesus pressed your way to that cross. Even though he was falling down, even though he'd been beat all night long, even though they had ripped his body up, even though they put thorns in his head, even though they plucked out his beard, he pressed his way on. Because it was what was at stake. Your life was at stake. Your security was at stake. And he had to give himself for you. Those things are very important. That's why your mother, when she's sick, she pressed her way on. That's why whenever the battery is low, she pressed her way on. And your father. When the pipes burst, they pressed their way on. Sad and they be depressed because they had to tell their children or the children say certain things to parents. They argue, but they press their way on. And sometimes children themselves got to press their way on to make sure that they do their homework. It's a press. I think about my grandbaby. She went off to college for 4 years. Do you think that was not a press? She's seen many people quit school, fell out of school, go back. From one day almost to the next day, to do all that paperwork, to turn in them term papers. But, you know, it's a blessing in your pressing. She would not have graduated if she didn't have a press. To call her mother crying and saying this is difficult. So it is hard. But she didn't say it wasn't possible. It means that I need to hear a word of encouragement. And when you're pressing, sometimes you got to hear a word of oh man, you can do it. Pick up your bootstrap. It don't matter. Your phone, get back up. This is a pressing way. It's not a quitting way. And I tell folks this all the time. If you ever start quitting, you will quit in everything you do. You want a shortcut, you find a shortcut in everything you do. You got to continue pressing your way on. There's a lot of them in here. My mother right there. She don't have a car. She don't have a car, but she pressed her way to church. She finds a way to get there. She finds a way. There's a lot of y'all. You all are finding a way to do things. Why? Because it's what you made out of. It's what you made out of. And it's so very important. When your resolve is tested, you know who you are. Not what somebody say. You got You know, that's why on something you notice something about my team, the Lakers. They said, well, they're trying to get other parts around LeBron James. They said LeBron James feels a winner. See, they need him in the clutch. In the clutch. Because when it get tough and when it get hard, you need to know who's on your team. You need to know who you can turn to. See, someone that know how to go the extra mile. Someone that don't mind sacrifice. And that's where we get to the churches. How many of you are team players? How many of you that your pastor can count on? I want to tell y'all something. It was very difficult for us on last week. A lot of you was out for whatever reason, whatever it was. I have a daughter that works in Gainesville. She's a witness. Not a Jehovah's Witness, but she's a witness for Jesus Christ. Let me tell you something about a witness. When she go to work, she works 16 hours a day. How many of y'all can work 16 straight hours and sometimes 20? Her feet swells up. The reason why she works so long and she works out of town. She works hard because she helps support the household. She helps support the household. Why? Because she understands her role in the home. She don't make excuses. And while she's there, the Bible said, let your light so shine that men may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. If she gets off in time and early, I can tell y'all, every Wednesday, she never missed service. That's suppressed. Work 16 hours every single day. Every single day. And then, while you're driving home, you can't wait to get to Jacksonville because Bible study. When you got those in Jacksonville, can't make it to Bible study. But someone can drive from Gainesville and come all the way back. Don't go home first, but come to church. And some of you say, well, it's because it's what you made out of. It's what you made out of. We're not made out of excuses. Jesus made no excuses. That flesh will talk to you sometimes. That flesh will say, quit. That flesh will say, you can't do it. Jesus' flesh said, if it's possible, remove this cup from me. But the Spirit pressed inside of him and said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. Press your way to that cross. Don't you quit. Don't give up. Don't give in. Well, I want to tell you something about that. Last week she had women that came all the way from Gainesville. Drove from Gainesville to Jacksonville. And the ones in Jacksonville says, I can't make it. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Think about it. Do you know, it tells us about but all of them had it. Let me tell y'all something. People in heaven ain't going to have excuses. That's why Jesus said, if you come after me and you can't deny yourself, you cannot be my disciple. Yeah. See, people today, they think that it's, things bad happen only to other people. Or maybe it's going to be different for you than it is for them. No. Everybody goes through the same things. They may not be the same day, may not be the same hour, maybe just a little bit different, but you're all going to go through the same things. So when you think about pressing, you got to press your way through all of that. When I was a young man, and I had to get them running just good enough for my wife to drive to work. Just good enough to drive to work. And there were times I couldn't get it. And that's why when I think about what it takes to sacrifice for the parents to press their way to work. I can remember my wife catching 3 buses. 3 buses to take my sons them to the nursery home. That's 1 bus. Catch another bus to go downtown. That's 2 buses. Catch another 3rd bus to go on the riverside. That's 3 buses. And did it every single morning. But it's what she had to do first before she got to the bus stop. She ironed their clothes. They always had creased pants and shirts. She got up early enough to do it. What's the next thing? A hot meal every morning. A hot meal. And I can remember one day that, we looked by the side of the stove and the sink. And I said, honey, what is all this down here? She said, I don't know. I came to the bars. I said, what is that? You know what they told me? We tired of eating grits, eggs, and bacon, and sausage, and all of that. We don't, we're tired of it. I said, you tired of eating it? You mean to tell me you don't know what it takes for that food to get to that table? They didn't. No cornflakes. No. They didn't eat Rice Krispies. No. They didn't eat that. They didn't eat that. They ate hot breakfast. I never had a breakfast. So I said, I tell you what, you don't have to worry about it no more. Do you know what? I told my wife, don't cook no breakfast. Let them get up and go to school hungry. Because they went to school hungry. They wouldn't eat their breakfast. Let me tell you something. The next time my wife started cooking breakfast, they cleaned the plate. See, you don't know what you got until you lose it. That's why you got to press your way. You got to continuously pressing. That's why you go to work every single day. So, then some of you got to press to be ready for that ride when it comes. I heard them say that about my friend, that every time that the bus would come to pick him up to bring him to church, he would be outside ready already. He would already be ready to go. He pressed as well. Some of you got to go to meetings. You got to press your way to the meeting because you're running late. But you got to meet the meeting. Some of you got to catch a plane to go out of town. You got to press your way to catch the plane. And some of you got to press your way to catch the train. But you find a way to meet it because you know you only have a certain amount of time to do it. Now let me tell you something. You all got a certain amount of time to get your life right. Because Christ is coming back for you. Whether you're ready or not, he's on his way back. Just like he came for my friend. Now also, Friday, y'all didn't know Friday, I had to do a eulogy. Had to go do a eulogy. I heard all the wonderful things about the man. I didn't know him personally, but they've heard that God has blessed us to be a compassionate pastor and a compassionate leader. There's a lot of things going on Friday. But I made sure that I would be on my job when it comes to the kingdom. And I want to tell y'all something. Whenever that you give your life to Christ, Christ must be first. I could have made excuses and said, well, I'm going to be late. Let me tell you, the devil tried everything he could to keep me from going to that film. The people was getting worried that I wouldn't be able to make it. I had my keys. I couldn't even find my keys. I could not find my keys. Then when I got in there, about 10 minutes before I were to be there, the devil did it. Leading me the wrong way. To find it was about 3 minutes till the lady called me. She said, Pastor William, are you going to make it up? Do we need to make some other means? I said, I'll be on time. I made it a minute before 12. Amen. I made it. Because I pressed my way on. Do you know that's why it said the trying of your faith? The trying of your faith? Do you know God put things in your life to let you see yourself running out? You're going to press your way to make it in church to do his will. But the first thing you say is, I can't do it. First thing you say, you can't do it. First thing. I've always told everybody when I gave my life to Christ, there's certain things I won't do. I'll work for you. But at a certain time, I'm going to stop. At a certain time, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to be there. Because I remember, I got God to glorify. And besides that, we got people watching. When you say you're a Christian, there are those that watch you. And they know what is expected of a Christian. Some of you in your own world where you know, hey, this is my life. You don't know what's in my heart. They do know what's in your heart because you let them see it every single day. Because wherever your priorities is also. Amen. If your priorities is if your priorities is If your priority is family, they're going to see the way you nourish them and cherish them and take care of them. If your priority is in Bible study, see you preparing them and getting them ready. All those things are very important. Because we don't know when Christ's going to call us home. But we got to be ready. We got to be prepared. So let's look at Hebrews, the 12th chapter and the 14th verse. 12 and 14. It says, follow peace with all men. Without no man shall see the Lord. See, you got to follow peace. Y'all cannot hold anger in your heart. Yes, there will be those that cause problems in your life. Holiness without no man shall see the Lord. It is not a denomination. It is not, I'm a Baptist, a Methodist, a Presbyterian, a Lutheran, or Catholic. Holiness, it is a way of life. He said, be ye holy, for I am holy. When Christ comes back, you better be holy. And when you pray, you say, give us our trespass. Give those that trespass against us. You can't let nobody affect your life with Christ. No one. Holiness without no man shall see the Lord. Don't matter how much money you got. Don't matter what kind of car you drive. Don't matter what type of jewelry you got. Doesn't matter what family you're in. The Bush, the Rockefellers. Don't matter. You know, they got this lady. You know, they always front her. I forgot her name. They got so many of them out there. To me, it is a disgrace. Because they make their money off shaking things that only their husband ought to see. But there's a lot of people want to be like them. But when they die, they done sold their soul to the devil. And they won't be able to enter into everlasting life. You got to press your way to do these things. Holiness without no man shall see the Lord. Hebrews 13 and verse 1. Let brotherly love continue. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers. For thereby some have entertained angels unaware. You got to make sure you understand how God feels about brotherly love. Say greater love than no man than this, the one that laid out life for his friend. You all are a body. And I say it's not a denomination. Let brotherly love continue, whether naturally or spiritually. You may not agree with the things they say or even the things they do. But it got to continue. It's got to continue. Remember, God loves us. How we lived and the things we've done and who we did it with. But God still loved you. God still loved you. In spite of your shortcomings. What God sees, He don't see your shortcomings. He sees Himself in you. See, because sin is in every one of us. For all of sin that comes short of the glory of God. There's none righteous, no, not one. But what God sees is He doesn't see the sin in you. He sees Himself in you. That's what God sees. He don't see where you fail. He don't see you getting up. He see you coming out. He see you being successful. He see you being a great witness for Him. He see you telling people about Him. He don't see that you failed. He don't see you came up short. He sees your future. See, that's the most important thing about God. God sees what you're going to be. He don't see who you are right now. That's the most important thing. And that's why He said, let brotherly love. Some of us, you know, when someone get it, oh, I don't love them no. I don't moved on. God about it. And God has released me from love. Well, what about God releasing His love for you? God did never release His love for you. No. His love continues. And that's why it's called it's not based upon somebody else. It's based upon you. How you love that person. How you love them. in spite of how they treat you, in spite of what they've done, in spite of how they live. I often wonder, how can a person love a person that slap them down? They love them. I used to wonder why people go to churches where, where pastors do all kind of crazy things and duels days and anniversaries and all of that. And then he takes shortcuts when it comes down to the word and don't tell them the truth. You know why? Because they love him. Because they love him. You wondered, how could they be in them? Because they love him. How could they stay in that bad relationship? Because they love him. How can they take that off of them? Because they love him. Why? Because love endures all things, hope all things, believe all things. Love never fails. Yes. That's how God loves us. God wouldn't fail us. That's why he went down in hell and died and took your name from out of there. That's right, he did. He took my name out of it. I was dying there in hell. I did everything to go to hell. But look what he did. When he died, he went down there and spoiled principalities and powers and made an open shame of the devil. Took my name out. I didn't have a future in heaven, but he gave me a future. He gave me a second chance. And not only a second chance, but a chance after chance after chance. That's what God did. So you got to let brotherly love continue. There cannot be no contention and strife among y'all. There can't be no malice. There can't be none of that. Because the Bible said, to the pure, all things are pure. But when we think about pressing our way, we're pressing. You got to continue to press it. That's moving into a position. You look in the book of Matthew 20, verse 30 through the 34th verse. I'm only going to tell you all about that, but you can write it down. It's so very important. Let me tell y'all something about people. We come to church and you got to come to church to learn, to get something. I'm going to tell you something. I want to know if you're misleading me. I want to know if you're not telling me the truth. So when you name them scriptures, I want you to go to them. I want you to go back and read them. See, the Bible said, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Not because there's not knowledge. It is because they have rejected knowledge. How many of us is rejecting knowledge when it comes down to God's word? It speaks about in the book of 34 about these two blind men. They had to press their way. It wasn't easy. They couldn't see. But they knew Jesus was going to be passing through that way. And they had to make sure that he hear them. And there were those told them to shut up. Told them shut up. But the more they told them to shut up, they kept right on. Jesus, the Son of David, have you right now, you're going through, you're facing things in life. You want to be ready when Christ come back. You know he's coming back for a church without spot or wrinkle. I got problems in my life. I need some help. I need support in my life. I'm going to tell you, when I was young, I didn't love me. I didn't love what I had for Cain. I didn't. I got caught up in the world. And that's when I began to seek the Lord. I said, Lord, please help me. Some of us don't understand. You don't just get to be holy. You don't just get there. It's things that motivate you to say, Lord, I don't love me no more. I don't like what I am becoming. I can't help myself. I need you to help me. And I can remember I wanted to be a righteous person when I was young. I would go to church, but I always quit. I always quit. I would start and I would stop. But when I started having kids, when I started getting older, I went to church, and then this church I went to, they taught one thing but didn't do it. Didn't live it. They said they were going to have a meeting, and I got there early to be there. Because I wanted to learn how to live holy. I wanted to learn how to live righteous. I pressed my way on. I went to work that day. I went to work when I got out from work. But I stopped and went to church. I wanted to be to that meeting. And I pressed my way there. I sat outside, and I sat outside, and you know, they never showed up. Yes, sister, they never showed up. But I pressed my way to be there. From that day forward, I never went back to that church. I went right back to the streets. The streets was calling me anyway. It was hard. But the streets were more faithful than people in the church. Are y'all listening to me? The streets were more faithful than people in the church. Whenever the people that's in the streets say they're going to be to your house, they do. When the streets say they're going to do something, they do it. I'm going to tell you how. Just some of us look more like the street than we do like the church. But you say you love God. You call it whatever you want. You know what they used to tell us? If the shoe fit, put it on. Yes. Because you dare not go in here and look in this Bible and see how you ought to look or how you ought to be. No, you won't do that. No, why you won't do it. But you'll find a way why and how you can do it. Because you want to be like the world. When Christ comes back, you better be pressing your way. You can't be pressing to be like Snoop Dogg or some rapper or some material girl. He told you, love not the world, neither things that are in the world. If any man love the world, but love the Father, it is not in him. You better have your wedding garment on. You better be ready to go. I went to 2 funerals this week. Friday and Saturday. One of them I knew and one of them I didn't know. But they both shared something in common. They both had to die. But it was one of them was ready and one of them was not. One was ready because he gave his life to Christ. He got shot and he was in a wheelchair. But it didn't let that wheelchair bound him and stop him from being in Bible study and Sunday school. He kept right on pressing. What I'm trying to tell you, you better press your way into the kingdom. So the next time I went to church, I knew. Because I always learn. When I make a mistake or a bad choice, because I'm always by myself, I would be in my car, I would learn what I did to make that mistake. I said I quit. I quit going to church. And I knew that this time when I gave my life to Christ back in 85, I knew if I stopped going to church, I would never go back. So when it rained, I pressed my way to church. When it was cold, I pressed my way to church. When I was sick, I pressed my way to church. When I was broke, when I had shortcomings, some of you all have missed more days in church than I have missed in over 30 years. Just this year. You missed more days this year than I missed in over 30 years. And I raised my kids just like you. And I had bills just like you. And I had car problems just like you. And I had arguments just like you. Yes, I had all them problems. But it was what's at stake. My life was at stake. My family was at stake. And I am the head of my home. When you're the head, you got to set examples. When they leave your house, they're going to live like they want to live. But when they're in your house, you set the standard. You're the one that controls the temperature. You're the one show them what it is to press, to keep on going, not to have excuses. And that's what we're doing today. You notice why so many people quit? All you got to do is look in your house. Mama quit. Daddy quit. Brother quit. Just a bunch of quitters. But it doesn't mean you got to be a quitter. It don't mean you got to come. What defines you? What makes you who you are? I know who makes me who I am. Christ. He's the one make me who I am. He says, in him I live, I move, I have my being. Without him I'm nothing. I know I got shortcomings. But when I'm walking in the Spirit, I don't have a shortcoming. He helps me overcome them all. So they kept on pressing. Them blind men kept pressing. And he said, what will you have me to do? They said that I might receive my sight. But here's one in Mark 5. I'll read that one. Mark 5:25. It's so very important. Read it. Mark 5, verse 25. Look what this woman did. And that's what, you know, I want to tell y'all something, men. I want to tell y'all something about women. Women are the most resilient people on earth. They'll make it without a man. Did y'all know that? They buy cars and trucks and houses and everything and pay rent and lights and water and buy children and clothes without a man. Women will have a house, but a man won't. Did y'all know that? Y'all, you call it what you want. Again, I said, if that's if the shoe fit, put it on. I seen women have all that, and then they get a man that lose it all. So why you like that now? Well, I thought he was going to help me. He said he going to pay the bill, but he didn't. He paid his bill, but he didn't pay yours. You loaned him money, he came up short. But resilience is, in the early 60s when I was young, men would leave their families because it was hard and difficult. Hard, difficult. They would go out of town and start another family. They would quit. And leave that woman, and on her only job she had was a cleaning job. A cleaning job. But then she'd take on another job. You know what the other job would be? Ironing people's clothes. You know what the next job would be? She would start a confectionery in her own house. She would be selling cookies and bubble gums and all that to people on Saturdays. And even honey drippers. And some of them would even cook cakes and pies. Wintertime, they would have something they called candy apples. They knew how to make money. They did. Amen. But they took care of their children. Am I right, Mother? Amen. I'm telling you the truth. In other words, they learned how to survive without us. And that's why you see a lot of them being successful. While you're still trying to figure it out, they done already done worked it out. Amen. You're trying to figure out, they done already done worked it out. Men think with one side of the brain, women think with both sides of the brain. You said no, she said, how come? I ain't going to accept no. But that's a reason. Here's this woman, she done suffered many things. Many things. Of physicians and everybody. But she didn't let that stop her from pressing. Matthew 5, verse 25. And a certain woman, which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and spent all she had, and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came and pressed behind and touched his garment. You see that? See, press. See, some of you thought when this word, it says press on, my brother, press on. You should know it is in here if I say it. Amen. Press. This woman, see, Sister Tony, she pressed. Her health was at stake. She had a husband, because during that time, if you had your fountain, women know what that is, that you couldn't be out in the marketplaces. You couldn't be with your husband, and if you said on anything, it would be declared unclean, because at this time her body was. But this woman, it was continuously that. And she had went to many physicians and had suffered many things. And there was only one person could help her. She heard about him. It was Jesus. And she pressed her way. She didn't tell no one her problem and what she was facing. Because she would have been stoned. She found her way to Jesus. And she said, if I could touch the hem of his garment, she said she knew she would be made whole. She pressed her way. The crowd, she kept her eyes on what she wanted. And if you're going to survive and make it, if you want to go to heaven, you got to keep your eyes on the kingdom. Never mind what anybody say, what anybody think. They can call you a holy roller. Keep right on moving. Because that's the only way you're going to make it to heaven. He said, no man put his hand to the plow and look back. You got to press on. Ain't no time to be backsliding. No. He said, double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Let not the man think he shall receive anything. this New Year's resolution. I'm going to be more faithful in church. I'm going to this and I'm going to, you ain't faithful. You know why? Because faith ain't in you. You got to get faith in you to be faithful. You got to have it in you. Something that you want more than anything else in the world. I want to be with Christ more than anything in the world. More than silver and gold. More than a nice car. Yes. I want to go back with him. And I want to be found faithful. That's why I'm faithful to you all. I'm faithful because he demands that. He said in stewardship that we must be found faithful. That woman pressed her way through. And she pressed her way through. And she pressed her way through. It's kind of like that man in John. Where the man, he was lame. And he was lame all that time. And that there was a time where the angels they would come trouble the waters. And you know what happened? You know, he pressed his way every single time, but he never made it in there. See, you can't be a quitter. See, whatever you do, you got to do it in hope. Hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why yet does he hope for it? That man kept hoping. Until finally one day Jesus showed up with him. And he asked him, will thou be made whole? And he's talking to you right now. Will your life change right now? Will you be different when you leave here today? Will your attitude be different when you leave out of here today? Will you allow me to work great and mighty things in your life? Will you let me help work with you on these shortcomings so you can press your way to go to the next level? Young men and young women every single day are coming to my, I ask them, what is your plan for the next 5 years? And some of them say, They don't know what they want to be doing in the next 5 years. If you don't know, how can anybody else know? The dog don't know he can't catch his tail. But he keep on trying. If you want to make it, you got to come to Jesus and give him and let him give you some purpose. Some purpose for your life. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm headed. I know what's at stake. My soul is at stake. And I can't let anybody cost me that. Wife, been with her for over 40 I got children. No. They're not going to stop me from entering the kingdom. When it comes down to God, it's God's word. Man shall live according to the word of God. Not by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. My children ain't going to make me go to hell. I'm sorry. I love them. But I ain't going to hell for them. You're going to hell all by yourself. Ain't no none of that generational curse with me. I know about it. The Bible said God will no longer So you sin and you live like the devil, that's where you go. But if you live like Christ, you go. That's right. And that's where I want to go at. I don't make no excuses. I can't say because I didn't have a. I can't say because I was poor. I can't say because I had a learning disability. I can't say because I studied when I was young. I couldn't hardly even talk. I couldn't say any of that. Because when I make all these excuses, God don't say, but I was faithful. Did I wake you up in the morning? Did not I satisfy your soul with good things? Did I feed you and clothe you? Did I give you victory over all your enemies? Did I provide a way of escape that you may be able to bear it? Didn't I tell you, if you ask, I will give? If you seek me, you will find. If you knock, I will open up the door. See, I don't have no excuses. That you might live. Now, I want to ask you all a question. What's going to be your excuse? other than you wouldn't press your way in. This woman pressed her way.
Yes.
This man that was crawling pressed his way. Those blind men pressed their way. My friend that died and went to his funeral with a wheelchair, he still pressed his way. Turn to the book of Philippians 3 and verse 12. This is a pressing way. Press on, brother. Press on. Press on, my sister. Press on. No matter what they say to you, keep right on pressing. Keep right on pressing. No matter what's going on, no matter what's taking place, keep right on pressing. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, press on. The book of Philippians 3 and verse 12. Paul said, not as though I had already, either were already perfect. He said, I haven't obtained anything yet. I'm not perfect yet. But I follow after, if that I may apprehend that which also I'm apprehended of Christ. See, I don't have it, but yet I'm going after it. See, I don't have it yet. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm still going after it. You may not have made it yet, sister, but you're after it. You keep your eyes on the prize. See, you have not made it yet. Ain't none of you perfect yet. But yet Paul understands something. He understands that this is not a relay. This is a marathon. So he followed after. But brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, reaching unto those things which are before. I press. No, he said, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God, which is in Christ Jesus. You understand that? He says, now I haven't made it yet. I'm not perfect. He said, but one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind. I'm pressing towards the things which are before. There's a prize up there. Do y'all understand that? There's a prize. There's something at stake. And it's mine. And it's waiting on me. And I can't get it until I finish my course. There's some problems, some situations in your life right now. You got to forget about it. You got to have what they call short-term memory. What you call selective amnesia. That I can remember all the things that I know what I done here. Yes, but I'm not. Paul remembered some things that happened to him. Paul remembered that he was the man that consented to Stephen being stoned. Paul remembered that even the brothers sought to kill him after he was converted. Paul remembered being shipwrecked. Paul remembered a cat of nine tails. Paul remember being put in prison. But Paul said, this one thing, I'm forgetting the past. I'm moving to the future. I'm pressing toward the prize of the high calling of God, which is in Christ Jesus. No matter what anybody say about you, no matter what anybody think about you, you better be pressing. You better be pressing. Oh, I'm a Do y'all understand? I'm forgetting everything that's back there. I'm forgetting everything that's back there. I'm not worried about, you better say I ain't worried about my husband. So what? So what? He's a lazy, sorry man. So what? He don't pay lights and he don't pay water. So what? He don't pay rent. he don't come pick me up. That's in the past. The Bible said, if I don't forgive you of your trespass, neither will my heavenly Father forgive me of my trespass. That's in the past. There's something waiting on me up there. I'm not going to let a devil in hell stop me from getting my prize. I'm pressing my way on. I'm pressing. I'm not going to let nobody stop me. I don't have an excuse. My car breaks down, I'm going to get me another ride. You know what? Just like that blind lady right now. That lady right now, that I'm going to paint her house, she's not letting her her vision stop her from getting her house painted. She's not letting because she can't try and stop her from getting where she want to go. No, that woman called her Uber. And then you got you all that are in church. Oh, Pastor, I couldn't come to church, my car broke down. Oh, nobody won't give me a ride. Oh, because I told sick. Oh, because somebody fell. Let me tell you something. You just don't know what to do this. Because everybody that's going to heaven ain't going to have no excuse. What they're going to have is a press. They're going to have a press. That's what they're going to have. If you don't believe me, just sit down one day. I challenge any of y'all. Sit down and talk to your mother and tell them the truth. Tell them how many times. Tell them how many times. Tell them how many times you was worried about them coming up short. How many times you was worried they got in an accident. How many times you was worried about they had got killed by shot. But what they're going to tell you is they kept right on pressing. They kept right on pressing. And every good pastor and every good leader got to keep right on pressing. You know, when our church called at 5, there wasn't many people gave us an offering. But we kept right on pressing. Yes. We kept right on pressing. I don't worry about whatever somebody else say or do. No, you know what happened? The Bible said, patience possesses ye your soul. That's right. And he said, to them that believe, all things are possible. Yes. Let me tell you something. Now you look at that church. They still haven't sent me an offering, but look at it now. Yes. Look at it now. You know why? Because we kept right on pressing. We kept right on pressing. We kept right on pressing. And the other one is, Brother Robert told me, he said, Pastor William, don't worry about it. He says, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. I'll get it done. I'll get it done. Hurt back and all. Hurt knee and all. Headache and all. Sick and all. But he says, I'll get it done. That's pressing. Yes. Not making any excuse. And thank God for my grandson last week. Came and put all them tables together by himself. All of them by himself. All of them. Not one of them, every one. He said, don't worry about it, Papa. I'll get it done. Everybody went home but him. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You got to press your way on. Yes. You cannot base your life on somebody else's life. And what they do and what they don't do. You got to base your life on what Christ's telling you to do. And you got to talk to him and ask him, say, Lord, what will you have me? And remember this about Christ. He's never going to ask you something that is easy. He's going to ask you to do the things that you find uncomfortable for you to do. But you got to trust him that he'll never give you something to do that he hasn't provided a way for you to get it done. This is a pressing. You've been listening to the Word of Faith Church of the Apostolic Faith. I'm Bishop Gerald A. Wade. Remember, press on, my brother. Press on. Give God praise.